Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Sword. It's nice to have everybody in here back together, like the good old days, you know?
It's been a while.
Yeah, everyone's back together. Thank you guys for joining us on this Wednesday evening. Pascal Siakam, we've been hearing all offseason about the Hawks' interest, and they're the most serious interest, but we've never really had huge reports from like a big guy. We finally got that from Charania yesterday, who not only said, yes, the Hawks have had the most serious interest, and he didn't even name any other teams. So it seemed like the Hawks were like, they've been the guy going after him, and everyone else kind of has either bowed out or didn't have had low level interest. So the Hawks are the main team, but the talks have stalled. We kind of got that feeling. We haven't heard about it for a while. Why have the talks stalled? Well, the Hawks offered him AJ Griffin, DeAndre Hunter, and draft compensation. And I think the main thing that the reason that we got out of this is that the Raptors keep saying, oh, this is what we want. The Hawks give it to them. And then they're like, oh, no, we want this too. It's like they keep just trying to up the price tag. And to be honest, I think that's just not people that you want to negotiate with in any scenario. Like if you tell me a price and I meet it, if we're negotiating and I meet it and then you back out of it, it's like, well, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, man?
If you said yes that easily, then maybe I can get a little bit more.
Yeah.
The Hawks are negotiating with themselves. That's what I got away from it. Sham said, there are multiple other teams, but it's none are even close to what the Hawks are interested in. And it feels like the Hawks are just negotiating with themselves. It just feels like the Hawks are going to make a mistake. That's what it feels like to me.
But I don't think this trade necessarily would be a mistake. Listen, I like AJ Griffin, DeAndre Hunter. He was always going to be included this year. The draft compensation doesn't really matter if you're a good team. Like they're going to send them. And we have the Kings pick. I assume that's probably what's going over. The Kings are going to be a good team. It's going to be a late first round pick. I don't necessarily think this. Listen, I understand everyone loves AJ Griffin. He was good, but like he wasn't on the floor for the Hawks under Quinn Snyder for a reason. Like he's not that good. If he was that good, he would be on the floor and playing, especially on a team that needed wings. So I think people need to pump the brakes. There's also a reason why they're willing to include him here. That tells you what they think about him. It's like these guys know a little bit more than us. That's what I always try to remind people. And he wasn't on the floor. They're willing to trade him. I know everyone wants to think every time a wing plays a little bit good as a young, everyone thinks he's going to be a superstar. I don't have to remind you about what we thought about Hunter, what we thought about Cam Reddish. I think AJ Griffin's going to be a good player. I don't think they should sell him for nothing, but Pascal Siakam isn't nothing. Like you're getting an all-star power forward. And again, like I know he's not agreeing to sign an extension, but I think that's more about him trying to get all NBA, trying to get max contracts, trying to get more money. But then they also Sham said that he might just stay in Toronto and they might just try to re-sign him. I don't know what the Raptors are doing. Who knows? They're like rebuilding, but kind of not rebuilding. If they keep Pascal, they're going to be like a 10 seed. They're not going to get a top lottery pick. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me what they're doing. I think they should just go into the rebuild, tank for 1 year. They draft well, typically deal with it, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, me and Alex. Like there was this really convoluted 4-team trade. That's probably up on YouTube. I'm not sure if it is, but if it is, go check it out.
It is up on YouTube.
It was a very yes, it was a very interesting combination. It was like the Hornets, the Mavericks, the Raptors, and the Hawks. And I think if you took the Hornets out of that trade, which made it kind of overly complicated, like the bones of it made sense. Like you had the Mavericks sending a 27 first to the Hawks. The Hawks would get Siakam. The Hawks sent Capella to the Mavs. And then there were a couple other pieces. But mainly there was no age. Yeah. Well, Bogey went to the Hornets. So if you eliminate them from that, I guess you could keep him. But the point remains, like you can make this work. I think a three-team trade between those three teams actually does make sense. Just because the Mavericks are so hot on Capella and they have been for a while. So if you want to move Capella, I actually think you can make some kind of framework where too. And if you can recoup a 2027 first, get Siakam, and then move Capella and Hunter's salary, I think that's actually a pretty big win.
Yeah, I would be all for that. I actually saw something. I don't know if it was PointsBet. Some gambling outlet had the starting center opening game for the Mavericks as Clint Capella, and it was like -160 or something. Like overwhelming favorite. But back to the whole trade idea. I am pushing back against this completely. He said, Shams included that, Pascal has remained firm. He's not signing an extension. If you know he's not signing an extension, I'm not getting rid of any of my young pieces. I don't care if it's,
it's extension.
I get what you're
he's
saying.
Not signing an extension right away.
I
He
get
could
what
still
you're saying,
re-sign
that
at the
he
end of the
wants
year.
to be able to earn the maximum amount of dollars that he could possibly get. But as a Hawks team, you could guarantee him that. You could say, if you promise to sign with us, if we have a gentleman's agreement, we will give you this if you give us insurances that you're going to sign. And I feel like that could come out. Shams wouldn't be reporting the opposite if it were true. And I'm not giving up anything. I'm just not. I mean, maybe Shams is being used.
He works for FanDuel now, man. I don't trust
You're
that
right.
guy anymore.
Yeah,
all right?
that's fair. That's fair.
Anyway,
that's
yes,
fair.
that
If it came from Woj, I'd feel a little bit different. Shams is definitely
now ESPN bet, man.
Yeah,
I can't trust.
I
can't trust any of these bets. I don't trust anyone. Trust Sports Talk ATL. We just lose bets. So
that's true.
Just fade us.
That's so true. I'm just not giving up AJ Griffin, Jalen Johnson, or Onyeka Okongwu without assurances that Pascal's going to resign. And even then, are we sure that Pascal's like the greatest fit? I know that Trey and DeJounte are kind of a wonky fit. Are we sure Pascal's going to be a good fit? Like, I just feel like this Hawks front office is just so inexperienced. They're just like, oh, we're just going to go get a star. We're just going to go get a star.
I see, but that's kind of where the rental thing comes into me. Is I don't think this is a terrible thing. Like, you unload money, you free up cap space, you free up everything. If Pascal doesn't
do that, though,
you do
money. That.
Yeah,
but if you give up young pieces and then still have it,
but we're talking about one young piece. Like, you got to give up something. You got to give up something.
It's not me. I'm just not. Pascal
I don't believe in any of the I don't believe in any of these young pieces like everyone else does. Like, I've watched the NBA for too long, watched the Hawks hang on to too many of these idiots, and I'm sorry for calling them idiots, but guys that just whoa, he's the next star. He's the next this. Ooh, he's going to have the breakout. All this offseason talk. And then you show up and he's a bench player. And it's just I watch the NBA every year, and this is the narrative. There's only so many stars in this league, and you have to be an absolute freak.
Sure. I'm not saying AJ Griffin's going to be a star, but the kid is 19 years old and nearly average 50, 40, 90 shooting splits. That doesn't just, diminish because he gets more playing time. That's not going to happen. I mean, the kid shoots out the gym.
It could.
He shoots out the gym. What are we talking about? He was a shooter.
Listen,
I hope AJ as a rookie. He's a shooter.
Superstar. But I want to ask one more question. Odds. If I had to give you odds, we're talking about FanDuel, we're talking about ESPN Bet. If I had to give you odds, we'll do this quick because we have to wrap up this segment. Odds that Pascal Siakam, if you had to put it on, that he's playing in Atlanta before the start of the season.
Plus odds.
Yeah, it's definitely plus odds. I mean, I agree with that, but
I give it plus 210. I don't know. I feel like if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now.
I'd say I'd go a little higher. I think he's just going to stay in Toronto. I'd say close to 275 plus 275.
I'll put it at plus 200. I think the Raptors. I mean, we also saw that a report from yesterday about the inevitability of him being traded. So who knows what's really going on? I think the Raptors are just trying to hold on and try to get the best deal, and eventually are going to deal him. I don't think they do all this if they had no intention of dealing him. I think they're just being stubborn, trying to get as much as they can.
What's crazy is that's all true. And then Pascal reports come back out. Pascal wants to stay in Toronto. He wants to sign.
He's negotiating against himself at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Who knows? Yeah. But coming up after the break, we have our Just Stop tweeting moment of the day, and it's a bad one. Talking about Justin Jefferson and the great Kirk Cousins, who came in as the 5th best quarterback NFL top players. What the hell?